All right, setting financial goals. So, the premise here is that if you don't know where you're going, how do you expect to get there? So, thinking of just a simple visualization of a destination that you might want to have. If you just set off in a car and start driving and have no idea where where you're trying to end up, then you're just going to kind of wander aimlessly and certainly never actually reach a goal. You want to set a goal. That's the first step. And this is going to answer the first blank on your note-taking guide. A goal is the end result of something a person intends to acquire, achieve, do, reach, or accomplish sometime in the near or distant future. So, setting goals is like creating a map for a road trip. It's setting a specific destination for yourself. And therefore, every time you come to a fork in a road, you have in mind where you're ultimately trying to get. So, it makes each of those decisions along the way a lot easier. So, how can goal setting benefit you? The second blank is asking for one way. So, I've given you four here. It's going to create a path and provide guidance for your future. Like the fork in the road, you're going to have an easier time making those big decisions because you're going to know where you're ultimately trying to end up. It helps to make the life you want to live a reality, helps you to actually reach goals, however small, to be able to have the life you want to live. It helps with decision making and it helps to create well being. Is it realistic to write goals for every decision you make? Definitely not. An example of a routine decision would be what to wear in the morning. That's not something that we need to really spend a lot of time evaluating, making a plan for, or anything. You know, eventually you're going to get dressed, and whether you wear one thing or another is probably not going to be make much difference to your day. So certainly we're not going to spend time on that. But anything that is a major decision that's going to require thought, time, effort, or personal discipline, like what to do after high school graduation, it is important to write goals for those major decisions. Goal setting can help you manage your money. It is important to financial planning, and I have two definitions on this slide. Financial planning is managing money continuously throughout your life in order to reach your financial goals. And financial goals are those specific goals that are accomplished through financial planning. So, just goals that have to do with money. Setting financial goals can also help you making day to day spending decisions. You'll know where you're supposed to be ending up. And so, therefore, it will be easier for you to make a decision of whether to go get something to eat after school or whether to get something at home. So, starting on the second page, we are talking about SMART goals. You may have heard of these before, but here's what it stands for. SMART is or S for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And we're going to go through each one of those individually. So, the first part is specific. In order to reach a goal, you're going to have to know what it is that you're aiming for. So, you want to state exactly what it is that you plan to do with the money, talking about financial goals specifically. So, here's an example from Lacey. She wants to reduce her debt, but she needs to be a little bit more specific than that. So, she's going to say that she wants to reduce the amount she owes on her car loan. Next step is measurable. We have to know exactly how much money this thing is going to take. So we have to state the exact dollar amount. Lacey's going to update her goal now to say that I will reduce the amount I owe on my car by $1,000. So now we have a specific thing we're aiming for and a specific amount. And that's the first two steps. Next step is attainable. Attainable has to do with, is this something I can do? And how am I going to do it? So you're setting forth that step by step plan. Lacey has an extra $100 a month. So she is going to pay that extra $100 a month towards her car loan to eventually have paid an extra $1,000 on her loan. And so that's how she's choosing to spend that money. So that's all you really need to do. You need to say like how much and how often. am I going to put money aside in order to reach this goal? R for realistic. So I've got, I think, 3 slides here that explain realistic. First of all, you need to look at what are the consequences of this goal? What am I going to give up? What is this costing me really? A trade-off could be giving up one thing for another. If currently pay $20 a month for Netflix and I am going to use that $20 a month instead to save up for a new phone, whatever, then that's a trade-off. It's an even trade. I'm giving up this in order to get this. Now, opportunity cost has to do with kind of evaluating what else could I do with that $20 a month. I could eat out one more time with my friends. I could go to the movies. I could buy a new shirt. I could save it and save it up for college or whatever. So you're thinking of all the things you could do with the money and deciding that this one thing is more important to you than everything else. So here's an example. Lacey has that $100 extra. Um, what could she do instead of spend it on the car loan? She could save it. That would be a trade off. So she's taking that $100 and now she's saving it. And so, how do you know what should she do with it? Which decision is the best for her? So she's going to have to think about those opportunity costs, the trade-offs, and decide what's most important to her. In the end, Lacey decides that paying off her car loan is more important than any other use of that money. She really wants to be out of debt. So she's going to further update her goal with the realistic section. And that is this first sentence here, where we say Lacey has determined that paying her car loan is more important than any other use of her money. Or you could even be more specific than that. Maybe it is something like now you're having to cancel Netflix so that you can put that money towards something else. So that could be the part that's in your goal, is what specifically you are having to give up in order to get your goal. Time bound is the last one where you need to state specifically when the goal will be reached. So, looking at the step by step plan that you made in the attainable section and looking at the measurable section where you said exactly how much money you need, hopefully you can mathematically figure out how long it's going to take for you to reach your goal. So, Lacey is going to put aside $100 per month and wants to make it to 1,000, and that mathematically equals 10 months. And so that's the part that she's going to add in to her goal. Now, one other thing on this slideshow that will come up later in the unit is the difference between a short-term goal and a long-term goal. A short-term goal is anything less than a year. So if you were planning to reach the goal within a few months, you will call it a short-term goal, and anything longer than a year will be a long-term goal. So here's the summary. At the bottom of the note-taking guide, page 2, it's asking you 2 questions. One, what is one way you can ensure you to reach your goal after it is written? And so that's going to be a personal thing. You can come up with lots of ideas there. You might think about how making sure that you're writing a really good goal and making sure the attainable and the realistic parts are actually attainable and realistic is going to help. You don't want to say that you can put $500 a month towards something when really that would just cut so many things out of your life that it's not going to be something you can maintain over a long period of time. Going public with your goals, at least telling somebody else what your goal is, can help you to have a little bit of accountability and maybe motivate you to keep going. Setting rewards for yourself after you reach the goal, but even incrementally throughout the goal can help. And then just making sure that you're continually looking at that goal and making sure that you're still on track with it can help. And at the bottom, you were writing one smart financial goal for yourself. So remember the 5 parts that you need to have included there. Specific, what exactly is it that you are trying to buy or pay some debt on? Measurable, exactly how many dollars will it take to reach your goal? Attainable, you're going to say how much money every paycheck or every month can I set aside for this goal? Realistic, what might you have to give up in order to put that money aside? And then time bound, how long will it take before your goal is met? So include those 5 things. 1 or 2 sentences max is all you want on there. And that should do it. Thank you.